It's an important question. Do we need more judicial activist judges? Do we need more Chief Justice John Marshalls? Do we need more of those? Do we? Come on in, come on in. We appreciate you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to help us answer the question. Do we need more judicial activist judges? And of course, we'll let you know where you can connect with us at. Come on in. Come on in. We just pinned it right there. Okay. Do we need more judicial activist judges, or do we need judges that still believe in the Constitution? Go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If there are any judges on the line, give me a heart, a 100 sign, whatever you need to do. If there are judges on the line right now that believe in upholding the highest law of the land, and that is the Constitution. Do we have any constitutional judges in the House? Okay. Have you ever wondered if you've actually been deceived by a broken justice system? Let's go ahead and look at that word, Constitution, the U.S. Constitution. Is it forgotten? Is it forsaken? Can we just delve right in to the reality of our legal framework? Can we go ahead and uncover the truth about that? Because I know right now that there are some judges that are activist judges. They could care less about the US Constitution. They actually have more of a respect for UN resolution than the US Constitution. And that is a problem that we are currently getting rid of. We're currently getting rid of it. We sure are. Do we have a justice system, or do we have a two-tiered justice system? Do we have a partial justice system, one that is for the elites, one that is for the people? See, the notion of equal justice under the law is actually a cornerstone of our legal system. But you'd have to ask yourself, with everything that's going on, is it truly a reality? Let's go ahead and dig deeper, folks, because it becomes evident that this current two-tier justice system does exist. And it's one that actually benefits the powerful elite while marginalizing those that are considered vulnerable. And this disparity, it's not a recent thing. It's not a recent phenomenon. Okay, its roots actually run deep in our history. What are your thoughts on that? Deep in our history. From Jim Crow laws to modern day disparities in sentencing, the historical context actually reveals from deviations from the Constitution, and they've perpetuated inequality. Okay. Back in the day when Chief Justice John Marshall was one of the justices, he's the one that actually, quote unquote, expanded the powers of Congress. I put it in quotes because it doesn't matter what a man does or what a man interprets. It matters the original intent of the founders. And the original intent of the founders, even if you take context clues, you remember that in school? Even if you take context clues, you can see that they actually wanted to limit the powers of government, not expand it. But what John Marshall did, he expanded the powers of government. by saying that Congress was not limited to only the necessary enumerated powers. They could take their privilege, if you will, right? And there's more factors into that. I don't know if you know who John Maynard Keynes is, but he's also an economist who had communistic ideals, and that's why his motto was spend your way out of debt. It's not a reality, folks. You know it's not a reality. Okay, that's why we have to keep our eyes open. The Constitution was actually designed to be a safeguard, ensuring that every individual receives fair treatment. But when its principles are ignored or manipulated, then the scales of justice, they tend to do what? Tip unfavorably, right? So I want you to consider something. I want you to consider this. Consider how certain legislative actions and judicial decisions have strayed from the framers' original intent, creating these loopholes that widen the gap between different social strata. These deviations not only undermine the rule of law, but also erode public trust in the legal system. And when you see how pervasive this is, one would have to wonder, was that on purpose? Who's really running America? Who's really trying to ruin America? By understanding how these inequalities have been allowed to persist, we can begin to see the urgent need for returning to constitutional adherence. Only then can we hope to dismantle this two-tiered justice system and restore true justice for all. Do we need activist judges? And I'll let you answer that question. Do we need activist judges? Do we need judges that say, forget the Constitution, we need society to tell us how to run the current state of things? Forget the law. Forget the Constitution, a document that's been around for over 200 years. I believe it's the longest living Constitution alive. But you know who thinks they know better? Some of the activist judges. How do you weaponize a government against the people? The Constitution stands as a meticulously crafted document envisioned by the framers to establish a system of checks and balances. Their vision was clear, a legal framework that ensures that no branch of government wields unchecked power. You see, when I was growing up, I got taught this valuable lesson, and that is that there are three branches of the government. Okay? The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. But I want you to know that there's a fourth branch. There has been introduced to society a fourth branch of government, and that is the administrative branch. The administrative branch, which seeks to control the executive branch, legislative branch, and the judicial branch. Now, one would have to come in and say, wait a minute, administrative branch. What does CJ mean by that? Have you ever heard of bureaucrats? Have you ever heard of lobbyists? Have you ever heard of you not being able to tell what happened to your congressman? Huh? There's a shadow there. There's an invisible government that operates heavily in the administrative branch. This administrative branch seeks to undermine a lot of it. A lot of the administrative branch seeks to undermine the executive, the legislative, and the judicial branch. Now, this is important because the way we got our three branches of government is actually found in Isaiah chapter 33. God is our king, God is our lawgiver, and God is our judge. The king being the executive branch, the lawgiver being the legislative branch, and then the judge being, of course, the judicial branch. But this fourth one, this fourth administrative branch, I mean, you even get administrative judges. You know, whenever you see administrative judges or administrative, you got to ask yourself, what branch does this fall under? Is this constitutional? Because if we can't find it in the Constitution, why is it in our country? How do you undermine a country? By inventing a fourth branch of government in the case of the United States. Okay. Let's delve into some of these case studies. Let's delve into it. Where adherence to the Constitution led to justice prevailing. Take the landmark case of Brown versus Board of Education. The Supreme Court's decision to strike down racial segregation in public schools was a monumental victory for civil rights. This ruling, deeply rooted in the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment, demonstrated how constitutional principles could dismantle systemic inequality. Speaking of dismantling, we need to dismantle the administrative state. Okay. Folks, we have so much to cover. We will be covering it in a later video. We want to go ahead and give you your time back for now. If you have any questions, please, this is going to be a part 2 coming up. Let me know. God bless you, and we will talk to you soon.